What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. SummerSlam is fast approaching, so what can fans expect to see on Raw as the WWE builds things up for the biggest party of the summer? And we've only got 2 weeks. Well, join us now as we look at the 9th edition of Raw, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Bray Wyatt on Raw, Wyatt also teasing the return of a new Fiend, heartbreaking news for Kelly, John Cena helps Riddle and Orton, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. As always, we aren't going to recap the matches, but just provide you with the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, MVP destroys Goldberg. Now, although the WWE is relying far too much on MVP getting the Lashley vs Goldberg match at SummerSlam over, there's no denying he's been pivotal in talking up the two titans' upcoming clash. Last night was no different as MVP not only mocked Goldberg but mocked and threatened Goldberg's son. MVP's line that Goldberg would finally have time to spend with his neglected son once Lashley destroys him was a kind of 24-karat gold promos fans get every week from MVP. It's looking more like Goldberg's son Cody will play a role in Goldberg's loss at SummerSlam. Who knows, fans may even get to see Lashley apply the Hurt Lock to him. That would be incredible heat. Number 2, Sad Corbin makes us happy. Now, whoever is behind the sad Baron Corbin storyline deserves a raise, as it's been brilliant so far, with the down-on-his-luck superstar situation deteriorating every week. Whether it's Corbin not having enough money to pay for his entrance music, something which makes no sense, but we're willing to overlook it because it's funny, or force him to wrestle Drew McIntyre to earn a few bucks from Jinder Mahal, the WWE is giving Corbin the comeuppance that's been a long time coming. The history of failed payouts for storyline gives us a reason to be skeptical, but so far we've been enjoying the brilliant sad story of Baron Corbin, who has quickly become one of the best characters on the entire roster. Number 3, the return of Randy Orton. Now, not only was it great to see Randy Orton back, but it was great to see him back in his backstabbing ways. The Viper is the type of superstar who isn't cut out to be a babyface, and no matter how much Riddle wants them to be a team, it's inevitable that Orton will not only turn his back on Riddle, but hurt him badly. At this point, it looks like the WWE is going with Orton taking advantage of Riddle's gullible nature and stringing him along for now, but no one expects this team to go anywhere but into a brutal one-on-one feud. For now, fans can enjoy the oddball partnership and take odds on how long before Orton grows bored of Riddle. Number 4, Raw is Riddle. Now, speaking of RK Bros' zany member Riddle, he continues to be a consistently entertaining performer on Raw as he's taken his airhead character to new comedic heights. Riddle's comparison to Randy's disappearance and Riddle's stepfather going out for milk never to return was the type of humor fans rarely get from the WWE. To quote Vince McMahon, "This is such good sh*." Number 5, taking a chance on the undercard. While Raw remains very hit and miss, last night's show continued utilizing its undercard performers in matches that were more than just filler. While rumor has it Mr. McMahon instructed the writers to build storylines around every match, no one had any reason to believe it until it happened. Over the last few weeks it has happened, whether it's Sheamus' rivalry with Ricochet, which is more about building Damian Priest versus Sheamus, or the apparent team of Ali and Mansoor, as well as their mini-program with Mason T-Bar, the undercard has received some attention. It might not last long, but for now, it's worthy of praise. But that was the good. What about the bad? As number 1, where's Goldberg? Goldberg's famous saying, "Who's next?" should be replaced by, "Where the hell did he go?" Goldberg is scheduled to wrestle in the WWE's second biggest pay-per-view in the year, and he's shown up once to build up his championship match against Lashley. Is the WWE that cheap that they won't pay him to hype the match? Is Goldberg too lazy to show up, unlike John Cena who's been bending over backwards to hype his upcoming SummerSlam match against Universal Champion Roman Reigns? The WWE has been criticized for relying too much on part-timers like Goldberg, and it deserves even more criticism for failing to book him properly for his rare appearance in the ring. Number 2, Elias has left the building. Elias is dead. Well, no, they haven't killed off the Drifter like it did so many times with The Undertaker, but last night's segment on Raw made it clear Elias's character is no more. In case you missed it, the video segment showed Elias walking up with a guitar to a fire. He strummed his guitar and then threw it in the fire as the voiceover said, "The WWE stood for Walk with Elias." Elias is dead. And despite considerable charisma and solid in-ring fundamentals, the WWE made Elias into a one-note character, failing to book him as anything more than filler. Elias' feud with King Corbin in 2020 showed there was more to him than playing a guitar, but repeated absences due to injuries and bad booking made him inconsequential. Whether the WWE feels there's no need for two guitar-playing wrestlers now that Rick Boogs is aligned with Shinsuke Nakamura, or the WWE simply lost faith in Elias, it's doubtful they'll come up with anything better for him. Number 3, Alexa is awful. Now we hate to say it, but Alexa is awful in her current character as a poor women's version of the Fiend. Bliss was fantastic when she served as a Fiend's partner in crime with clear parallels to the Joker and Harley Quinn. Regrettably, her bad girl character lost all momentum when she betrayed the Fiend at WrestleMania 36, and the WWE continues to ruin her, whether it's her laughable bad hypnotic powers or her intelligence insulting demon doll Lily. Last night's match against Doudrop was a quick reminder of just how awful Alexa is right now, with Bliss rolling Doudrop up for the win after the doll winked at her. Yeah, the doll winked. And lastly, a predictable ending. Last night's Rhea Ripley vs Nikki Ash match seemed headed for a good section, but that was until the predictable finish of Charlotte Flair running in to attack both her triple threat opponents at SummerSlam. While it was good to see Nikki finally face off with a Nightmare before their match at SummerSlam, the match was ruined by Flair's interference. Last night's finish epitomized everything bad about the WWE's women's division, its predictability and the obvious lack of effort in booking main event programs. And speaking of the main event, where the hell is Asuka? The Empress of Tomorrow's absence at a time when Raw desperately needs female talent is inexplicable. Now, there was nothing downright ugly, but Raw had surprisingly a few good segments, but it was balanced with too many bad segments and an obvious lack of effort in booking a strong show to set up SummerSlam. Although it managed to avoid anything downright ugly, is this the best WWE can do? What's going to happen when Monday Night Football returns? What do you guys think of Raw? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, let's move on to the news. Now, our first story looks at Bray Wyatt on Raw. Now, topping today's news is that the WWE aired a promo for Wyatt at the Orlando Arena where Raw was held. According to Orlando reporter John Alba, they're running a promo in the arena with Mick Foley and Steve Austin talking about how awesome the Fiend is. However, as Alba pointed out in a tweet, I really can't believe I have to make this clear, but since sites are aggregating this and drawing false conclusions, it was just a promo video for their old rotation. They talked about other people in it too. It clearly just hasn't been updated. The promo featured WWE Hall of Famers Mick Foley and Stone Cold Steve Austin putting over the Fiend. Now, while rumor has it that the Fiend was originally scheduled to return to tonight's Raw, that is, before he was released, this promo appears to be in one of the technical glitches that occasionally pop up in the WWE. Fightful reports that Bray Wyatt was set to return on the 9th August Raw, and that during Bray Wyatt's absence from television, Fightful learned that he was working on adding creative elements to his character, which was slated to return on tonight's Raw in Orlando. In addition to that, he had family engagements already scheduled for May and June. As we'll see, while Wyatt is out of the WWE, he is by no means out of the fans' hearts. While Wyatt wasn't at Raw, that didn't stop the fans in attendance from loudly chanting "We want Wyatt" throughout Alexa Bliss's match against Doudrop. It's clear that the WWE's angered a number of fans, and as previously reported, corporate partners aren't thrilled with the WWE for unceremoniously dropping a popular wrestler who moved a lot of merchandise. Next up, Wyatt teases the return of a new Fiend. Now, whilst we're on the subject of Bray, the former Fiend continues to tease a new direction for himself once he's able to wrestle again. Wyatt's non-compete clause with the WWE is expected to end towards the end of October, ironically right before Halloween, and fans are anxious to see what's next. Wyatt, who previously teased a potential new direction when he mentioned the Cult of Wyndham, not only Bray's real first name, but the last name of his famous uncles Barry and Kendall Wyndham and famous grandfather Blackjack Mulligan, posted a freaky photo via Twitter with the caption, "You can't kill it." Whilst there's no hidden Easter eggs in the photo, it does look pretty cool. What do you think is next for Bray Wyatt? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Kelly's heartbreaking news. Now, we're saddened to report that former WWE superstar Kelly, aka Barbara Koba, has suffered a miscarriage. Kelly took to Instagram letting the fans know that she and her husband were expecting their first child with the baby in its first trimester. However, when we got the news we were pregnant, it was the happiest moment of our lives. We've been wanting this for so long to be parents. It seemed like all our prayers had been answered. Yesterday, I just knew something that didn't feel right. My body was not right. I felt every presence the baby was gone. Joe rushed me to the hospital, and that's when I just knew we'd lost the baby, and the hours seemed like days while we waited. It became more and more real. We were devastated, and we'd like to send our condolences to Kelly and her husband during this incredibly difficult time. Can't imagine what they're going through. And finally, the real Peacemaker. And last but not least, not only is John Cena the Peacemaker, but apparently in the WWE, as Cena appeared after Raw ended to help reunite Randy Orton and Riddle, aka RK Bro. After the camera stopped rolling, the 16-time world champion got Orton and Riddle to hug it out, with Cena joining in on the group hug. The only thing that would have made this better would be Cena coming out in his Peacemaker costume and Orton delivering an RKO to Cena and Riddle. But there you have it guys, the good, the bad and the downright ugly from this week's Raw, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.